When I was 7, I believed I could jump off of anything and fly. Now that I'm 57, jumping out of bed scares me sometimes. And I know I'm not the only one, but that's what I want to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders. Stay tuned.
Master the Story Power Method to captivate your audience, improve workplace culture, and 10x your fundraising.
Scan the QR code to book your first coaching call or visit storypowercoach.com.
Hey, I'm Loren Norris here with Story Power Academy, and I want you to know we've got a new course dropping just next week. That course is called The Attitude Hack. If you've been a part of the Story Power community, you know that we work on crafting intentional stories. We mine those stories, we craft those stories, we connect those stories to an audience, and we lead a narrative with them. The next level is to take those stories and deploy them in the workplace. And so there's really 3 phases of that. The first one is we've got to understand the very contagious nature of an attitude. The second is, how does that attitude, those stories that we've been telling, how does that impact your brand and your culture? And then finally, we're going to discuss in this next course, 6 weeks course, we're going to discuss how do you as a leader engineer attitudes, because that's your job as a leader. If you've learned how to mind, craft, and deliver stories, now you're going to learn how to see them work in the workplace. I challenge you to be a part of the Attitude Hack beginning on June 9th.
Subscribe now for access to our extensive media library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. Begin your personal growth plan at storypoweracademy.com for leadership development and communication skills training.
I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast. I know when you were a kid like me, I can only presume you had fantastic imagination, creativity that was just off the charts. You believed you could do anything with a crayon or a refrigerator box or a bed sheet. I can't tell you how many times we would steal the sheets right off the clothesline, tie them around our neck, and take off at a dead run. We were thoroughly convinced with the right size sheet and just enough speed, we could jump all the way across that ditch behind Grandma's house. We tried it on bicycles. We tried it on foot. My stepdad even tried it on a motorcycle. None of us actually made it all the way across, but we all tried, and we believed we could actually make it across there. I remember jumping off the roof of my own house. I think I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and my buddy and I used to sit up there and tear the shingles off and throw them like Frisbees. We had no idea how much damage we were doing, but we sure had fun throwing them. I mean, we thought we were being cool. It was really cool to watch them fly out across the street and kind of do their little flat spin thing. It was kind of a cool thing to watch, but we got in a lot of trouble for that one. We used to imagine that we could jump from the top of the house to the pump house. The pump was where the water well actually provided us water, and the little motor was in there to pump the water up out of the ground. It was just a little shed looking thing, like a she shed in the backyard, but it was probably 15 feet from the house to the shed. And we would get a running start across that roof, and we would try to leap all the way to the shed. And we never made it. A couple of times we slid down the side of it. We never made it onto the roof of the shed. We tried it the other way too. We tried getting on the ladder on the shed and jumping from the shed onto the house. That didn't work either. We couldn't go either direction. It was just too far. But it didn't stop us from trying. There were a whole lot of things that we tried as kids. I remember jumping off of curbs on my bicycle. Eventually broke one of my teeth because I jumped off the curb on a bicycle, and we had just put new tubes and tires in, and I didn't get the little safety locks back in the front wheel. And apparently I didn't get the wheel tight. And so the wheel actually came off, the forks dug into the ground, and so did my face. Scratched at my face really good, broke my tooth off, and I ended up having to push my bicycle home because I couldn't figure out why the wheel wouldn't go back on. We make mistakes, right? We take risks, we create, we imagine, we try again and again and again as kids. And unfortunately, eventually we run into what I like to call a dream thief. That one person that stands between us and the imagination, the creativity, the possibilities of our life. And sometimes that dream thief is a parent. Sometimes it's, harsh reality. I thought I was going to go to school for music and physics and speech and do all these incredible things. And truth is, I didn't get to do any of them because, well, I gave up. I mean, I thought I was going to get to do all of them, but it wasn't really in the budget, so to speak. So even though I got scholarships, because I decided to stay around my hometown closer for a girlfriend in high school, I gave up on all of it. I passed up on those opportunities. I let those dreams of being a musician, being a scientist, being a professional speaker, I let all those things fade away. Well, kind of. It took me a minute to come back and chase them again, and in a different way. And the truth is, if we allow those harsh realities, if we allow those negative nannies, if we allow those people in our life to speak into us in a way that we're willing to not take the risk anymore, we're willing to give up on that thing that we once believed in, we're willing to walk away from that dream, well, then they won't be ours to have. Here's the other challenge, though. Reality is there are a whole lot of people who only want to go after your dreams, and by that I mean squelch them, shut them down, stand in the way of them, put up roadblocks because they didn't pursue their own. And it seems for a lot of people, the older they get, the more likely they are to tell somebody else they're not going to make it. You can't do this. It's not going to happen. And the real challenge for all of us is, how do we get a hold of those dreams again? How do we find the ones that once tickled our imagination? They made us light up with hope and possibility that life can be better than this. We can actually do more than we've done so far. If you remember when we started this book, Live a More Excellent Life, we looked at a woman who was scrubbing the urinals in a middle school. Because she was a high school dropout, she had completely given up on moving forward with life. She felt like this job as a janitor is the best job I'll ever have. Let me remind you, that same woman went on to retire from teaching almost 2 decades later. She'd been a lunch lady. She'd been a hospice nurse. She'd been a janitor. She'd done all these things that were within her realm of capability, and they suited her heart of compassion, but it wasn't what she dreamed of. When she finally went back to school and graduated the same month she turned 50 years old, she reignited that dream. She started over again. I don't remember exactly the age, but I believe it was around the same age that I am right now that Colonel Sanders invented the KFC brand. A lot of people start late in life, but a lot of people give up too early as well. There are young people today who have already convinced themselves, if I'm not married by this age, if I'm not made $1 million by this age, if I'm not making it in my life by the time I'm 25 or 30 years old, then I'll just give up. I mean, you see them, couch surfers in their 20s and 30s, people who've already abandoned life to live in their car. Right? Is life hard? Yes, it is. Is it hard to make a living? Yes. Harder today in a lot of ways than it's ever been. Is it hard to pay a mortgage, pay rent, be responsible in life? Yes, 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 all of it. And none of that should be enough of an excuse for you to abandon what we just talked about 2 episodes ago, your time, talent, treasure, and attention. When you walk out on those things, when you stop measuring those, when you stop applying yourself, you can't build anything. If you're not looking at what you're doing with your time, you might spend 6 or 8 hours playing video games. Now, I know there are people who make a living playing video games. I know there are people who make a living playing poker. Myron Golden used to make a living picking up garbage. Just go read his book, From Trash Man to Cash Man, though. He generates tens of millions of dollars a year now. Why? Because he didn't just stay there. Everybody's got to make stepping stones. Everybody's got to start off with something. I've been a cashier. I've been a convenience store operator. I've been a pizza delivery guy. I've done all kinds of things to keep the bills paid, to keep my family moving forward, to get people launched out there. I've done all kinds of things. And what I do now is kind of a culmination of all the things I've learned around the world. There are a lot of young people today who have already given up. Maybe because they're looking at the hardships of life and going, it's just too tough, I can't do it. And so they've given up on themselves. Maybe it's because somebody in their life went, oh, you're never going to make it at that. It's too hard. It costs too much. The journey's too long. You're not willing to be in school that long, are you? You don't really want to go get your medical license, do you? You don't really want to be like those guys, do you? You don't really want to be rich, do you? And just that little question, that seed of doubt, that's really all it takes. Hey, if you believe, this is what the ancient texts will tell you, and it's been proven on both sides, religious or not. If you truly believe that little tiny seed, the size of a grain of a mustard seed, by the way, you can barely see those, they're like pepper flakes. If you have a true belief, that's 100% belief, that big, the size of a mustard seed, you can tell mountains where to go and they will move. You can start a business and run it yourself. You can build an empire if you believe. I believe it was Bob Proctor who said, maybe even before that, it was either James Allen or Napoleon Hill who said, if you can see it and believe it, you can achieve it. The mustard seed's pretty small, but if you can believe with purity at that size, it doesn't have to be enormous belief. It just has to be pure belief. Then you can accomplish it. Now, let me also tell you that if you believe the negative, it has just as much power. I believe it was a former President Roosevelt who said, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. If you believe you can do it, there's nothing that can stop you. If you believe you can't do it, there's nothing that can make you. Let me say that again. If you believe that you can do it, nothing can stop you. But if you believe you can't do it, nothing can make you. Success, like dreams, are not given. They're to be taken. You've got to take your dreams back. You've got to hold on to them. They're yours. It's your creativity. It's your talent. It's your inner inertia. And when you let someone stop that inner inertia, you're done. All right, think back to the stories that I've already told you. My mother yelling at me on the back porch, stop singing like that. Nobody wants to hear that. And so I never pursued a career in music. I have friends who have recording albums, people that I sang with in high school choir, people that I performed with in that performance choir where we were just 5 or 6 of us singing with no instruments behind us. Or we would go out and do performances. Those people, a couple of them went on to be teachers in music. A couple of them went on, one of them was on Rising Stars, I believe it was what it was. It was before American Idol. It was kind of back in the day. But he's been on there a couple of times, moved to Nashville to pursue his career in music. Another one actually started a Christian music group and sang for years until she became a mom. You can still find her stuff out there today. Her name was Jennifer. The band is called Sierra. Right? These are people that I performed alongside, but I gave up that dream. I stopped pursuing that dream. I still sing from time to time. I still do karaoke, and from time to time when it's the right time and opportunity, I'll sing at a church. It's usually only one song though, just a solo. I gave up on it. I walked away from it because I didn't have the confidence, because someone said to me, you'll never make it in that. So I just didn't try. I didn't believe in myself when it came to making money. I didn't like rich people. I didn't want to be one. And so I gave up on that as well. And for a long time, just the idea of crossing the 6-figure mark was something deep internally in me, was its own conflict. I didn't pursue it because I felt like that's not what I want to be. I'm wondering what kind of dreams in your life you've let go of. Have you let go of them because you didn't feel like you were capable? Or did you let go of them because people in your life told you you can't do that? In my own religious journey, my own faith experience, I was about 9 years old, and I was sitting in the church playing with gum wrappers making paper airplanes, to be honest. I wouldn't pay much attention at all until I heard the guy at the front say, if you need a friend who will stick closer than a brother, come up here and meet my friend Jesus. And I thought two things. I got no friends and I got no brother, but if I could have both, I'm all in. I dropped my gum wrapper airplanes and I ran to the front and I gave my life to Jesus. I was about 9. And the next week I was involved in a Bible drill and I stood on the stage and I read a bunch of Bible verses and I could find them faster than everybody else on the stage that day. And I believe it was that day that I said I want to get baptized. And so I got baptized in that little church, Madison Avenue Baptist Church, Enid, Oklahoma, around 1977. And I remember the day I got baptized, I pushed Brother Byron O'Neill off the platform so that we were eye to eye. And he turned around and looked at me and I said, one of these days I'm going to take your place. And he laughed at me like, yeah, you'll probably be a rocket scientist and a firefighter and all this other stuff too, but whatever. Well, I did go on to win the science fair twice when I was in high school. I did go on to be a firefighter in the Air Force. That wasn't my passion either. I mean, I loved the job. I felt like a hero having that job and having that title, but it didn't ooze out of me. And so I didn't do any of them. And then my stepdad said, you'll never go back to that church as long as I'm alive. And I didn't. It's been almost 50 years now I haven't set foot in that church. Not that one. But I also didn't accept the role when I was asked to pastor a church. I've walked away from that dream in a lot of ways as well. Why? Because someone told me you can't, and I believed them. My challenge for you today is to ask yourself the question, what are the dreams that I have laid aside because somebody else didn't believe in me? What else have I given up in my life? That creativity that was in me, that imagination that was in me, that thing that stirred in me like a little flame that in the wind would just wave about. And then finally someone snuffed it out altogether. Was it the harsh realities of life? Was it the loss of a loved one? Was it the loss of a role model or a mentor that you felt like, if I just stay with this person, I can go all the way? What was it that caused you to say, I quit, I give, I can't? And what was it that caused you to give up the imagination, to look at those things that say, you can do this and do something different? The second time I won the science fair, it was first place in physics and first place overall in the science fair. I created what I called the car of the future. I believed that if I converted water to steam and then chilled it and converted it back to water, I could literally use the same water over and over again. Steam to propel the engine, water to cool it, and water to convert it back to water, back to steam, back to water, back to steam, back to water, back to steam. And there were some people who were really impressed with my idea. And they said, well, have you made a prototype? I'm like, no, I don't have all the parts to make a prototype. Let me tell you something. I could have made that prototype today with a 3D printer, but as I was walking out of the science fair, a guy from the local radio station stuck a microphone in my face. And he said, you know, that's a ridiculous idea. I said, what do you mean? He said, if you actually create that thing, you will be defying Newton's theory of relativity, the law of perpetual motion, that nothing can be perpetual motion. Everything eventually loses its energy over time. And I took about 15 more steps and I threw the entire display into the dumpster and I walked away. And aside from me telling you this and the couple of times that I've mentioned it at a seminar, nobody's ever heard of the car of the future. Not the one that I created. Not since 1986 or 87, somewhere in there. Because I gave up on it. I let that dream go. I didn't pursue it. I listened to the naysayers. I listened to one naysayer who said it can't be done. And I didn't press. What in your life have you let go of? I look at somebody like Elon Musk, who's about the same age as me, who has had tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions of people go, you're a knucklehead. There is no way that, oh, look, it worked. You can't bring a rocket back to the ground. We've been doing it for decades and we've never, oh, look, it worked. You can't make an electric car that's actually commercial. Oh, look, it worked. How many times has Elon Musk been told that'll never work, and yet it worked? And not only did it work, but from PayPal to Bitcoins and electric cars and satellites and Starlink and SpaceX. How many other things would this world be without if Elon responded to people the way I did? I'm going to flip that on you. I'm going to ask you, how many of the things in this world are we without because you listened to the naysayers? You allowed someone to speak into your life and go, that'll never work. You can't pull it off. You're not smart enough. You're not wealthy enough. You didn't come from the right family. You didn't live in the right place. How many people thought Barack Obama would ever be president? When he was 12, do you think that was his intention? How many people gathered around him and said, you can do this. Stay at it. Get the education. Do the research. Meet the people. Make connections. Don't quit until you get there. How many people have given up on the path they were designed for, walked away from the dreams, not invented what they should have invented, not written the books, the songs, the plays, the movies that were deep inside them? Because one yahoo said, that'll never work. And they believed it. Frankly, I'm tired of believing it. I'm tired of believing that I can't. I'm tired of believing that I won't. I'm tired of believing that I shouldn't. I'm tired of believing that the world will never accept it. I want to live my dreams. I want to pursue those things. I want to go after what I was made for. And that's what I want from you. That's why I wrote the book, Live a More Excellent Life. The dreams that I have, they're not your dreams. The dreams that you have are not my dreams. We may have a similar dream. We might even have really close to the same dream. But the ones that have been given to you, the creativity in your mind and imagination, those are yours. Your unique skill set to pull them off. Let me give you one other real quick truth. Actually, two of them. There are at least 12 negative reasons why people do not live out the dreams of their youth. A dream thief, like my stepdad, fear of failure, fear of success, negative words and comments, friends' opinions, education or lack thereof, permission or authority to dream. Remember, that's yours to take, so take it. Limitations, whether they're real or imagined, if you believe it. Self-doubt, fear of hard work, and fear of rejection. And you may find yourself in that place where you're saying, I need to live my dream. I want to live my dream. I have to live my dream, but I can't do it by myself. Good. John Maxwell says if your vision's not big enough to demand other people participate in it, it's not big enough at all. If it's not big enough to scare you, it's not big enough at all. So reimagine, expand, stretch, grow from that little spark, that little candle flame, into an enormous fire of hope inside you. You've got to stretch that and make room for other people to participate in it, because they need the opportunity to participate in a dream so they can build their own and create. And this thing will become not only synergistic, but exponential. Live the dreams you were made for. Get in touch with those. You know, there's a guy in ancient times, about 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, that got a word to build something. And when he was told to build, he was like, okay, so I want you to carve wood like this, and I want you to plait some gold like this, and I want you to mold some gold like this, and I want you to carve some gold like this, and I want you to embroider these beautiful tapestries. And he went, hold on. I know nothing about carving. I know nothing about embroidery. I know nothing about making these things out of metal and gold. I am lost. You're telling me to do all this. I mean, I got the vision. I can see the project when it's completed, but I got no idea how to do all these things in it. And the one that gave him the assignment said, that's fine, because I've already given the vision, the dream, the talent, and the skill to carve wood to this one. The vision, the dream, the talent, and the skill to embroider the tapestries, I've given it to this one, and called them out by name. And that assignment came together because one person had the vision and dozens of people had the skill, the imagination, the creativity, and the talent to pull it off. And that's probably going to be true of your dream as well. If it's big enough, it's going to demand more people than you. If it's big enough, it's going to compel you. If it's big enough, it will require synergy from others. So let me ask you, and again, if you don't have this book, you can go to Amazon and get your own copy, Live a More Excellent Life. You have the right to dream your dreams. This is page 163, just in case you think I'm making this up. You have a right to dream your dreams more than the thief had the right to take them away. Start by writing down all your childhood dreams, all of them that you can recall. Every dream that ever crossed through your mind, even the ones that you look at today and go, that was silly. I'm going to build a house out of popsicle sticks. They build bridges out of them. I guess it's possible. Talk about those dreams with Lettuce. Remember Lettuce from way back here? Hey, Lettuce, reason with me. Why? Because you can dump all your feelings, good ones, bad ones, silly ones, ridiculous ones, onto Lettuce, and Lettuce doesn't care. And when you're done, just grab some ranch dressing and call it a day. Which dreams have you actually accomplished? See, I'd be willing to bet maybe they took on a little different form from the time you were 7, 8, 9 years old, and you went, ooh, I know, this would be a great idea. And you became an adult and you went, that would be a really silly idea. Maybe it just needs modified a bit. I remember I was about 15 years old. I was riding down the road with my dad in his Cadillac. He just had it detailed. All the leather seats were fully armor-alled. And this was before the days of seatbelt laws. And I said to my dad, you know, people die in front-end collisions all the time. What if the seats were on a rail connected to the bumper? And in a collision, the seats would slide away from the actual crumple zone so you wouldn't have as much injury. And so my dad slammed on the brakes. I slid out of the leather seat and fell in the floorboard between the seat and the dashboard. And he went, because nobody will ever wear a seatbelt because that's just stupid. It's only about 2 years later that seatbelt laws in the state of Texas became mandatory for front seat passenger and driver. Not long after that for everyone in the car, every seat, every time. Such a stupid idea now? Well, they didn't actually put the seats on a rail to move them away from the collision. What they did do is create crumple zones to take all the energy out of the collision. So it was the same kind of idea but modified, and the seatbelt thing, well, that became a reality. Now we have airbags. They do a very similar thing. Who'd have thunk it that a 15-year-old would have an idea that could actually work? Nah, that was stupid. Don't pursue. Your dream from your childhood may look different now because you've already done it. You just did it a little differently. Don't give up on those either. Which dreams are still possible at this point in their life, and what can you do right now to begin seeing your dream come true in the next 24 hours? Those are the questions. Page 163. If you don't have this book, go get it. If you have a teenager in your life who's struggling in high school, or someone who's gone through a divorce or been widowed, like my mother was both, and they're thinking, how do I even get started in my life? Live a More Excellent Life is a really practical instruction book to get you started again. I challenge you to get busy with that. And if you want to be a mentor with this kind of content, it's all written. The video's there, the audios are there, the lessons are there, the handouts are there, the questions are there. All you got to do is facilitate it. It's called 9 Lessons of Mastery. You can get it on storypoweracademy.com. But if you're living that life where you're this far away from living out your dream because someone has told you you can't, or you shouldn't, or you won't, prove them wrong. Go get your dreams again. Nobody has a right to take them from you, but nobody's going to give them to you. Dreams are meant to be taken. Go get them. I'm Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Think storytelling's just for bedtime? Nah, it's the secret sauce for business magic. Stuck in a rut with bland pitches and yawning clients? Enter Boost Your Business with Story Power. 6 weeks of epic storytelling training. It's like leveling up in a video game but for your career. Master the art of narrative and watch connections blossom like a viral TikTok. Simple, impactful, and game-changing. Ready to transform your biz vibes? Dive in now and make storytelling your superpower.
Subscribe now for access to our extensive media library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. Begin your personal growth plan